Hi, my name's Janelle, and I just want to share with you of a story that happened to me when I was young, and it has messed me up. And it's messed me up even to this day. I got diagnosed with PTSD from it in 2016. I never thought or knew that anybody could have PTSD except for people that went to the military. I just want to share with you guys a background story of my family and my life. So, when I was growing up, my family, my mom and dad was a dysfunctional family. They used to fight a lot. They used to make us choose sides of who we were going to go with if they ever got a divorce. My dad was an abusive guy. He was mentally and physically abusive to my mom. When she met him, they started dating, and he was an alcoholic. And we lived in a little town called Ceboleta. He used to hit her. My sister was 1.5 or 1 years old, and she remembers everything in details. Even that young, she still remembers everything to this day. Me and my sister are a year apart and a couple of months. So she's older than me, then I'm the middle child, and we have a younger sister. I never really seen my parents fighting or my dad hitting my mom, but my sister remembers everything. My mom told me that I used to stay with my grandma, my nana and tata, a lot of the times, and I guess my sister would stay with my mom and dad. So she used to see the brutal end of everything. So he was an alcoholic. He was an alcoholic really bad, and he used to abuse my mom. There was one time where my mom had told me the story that my dad got really drunk and he just came home, and my sister and my mom were there, and he started hitting her with the swing set. And he was telling her and my sister that he was going to kill him and no one would ever find him. He had the swing set, and he was hitting my mom with the swing set in the eye, she said. And he was going to run them over or something. And my mom just thought of something, and she got away and grabbed my sister's hand and ran to my nana's house that was just like down the street. So they lived in a single wide trailer, and my nana and tata lived by the post office, which was 10 minutes away maybe, walking distance. And she went over there, and she didn't want to be with my dad or anything. She was trying to leave him, and my dad went over there and tried to beg her back and said, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again, I'll never lay a hand on you. So she went back with him, and he still continued to hit her. She told me that he broke her jaw and hit her really hard, where he gave her a chemical imbalance. And one time she had a black eye and went to my nana and tata's house, and her brother was there, and my dad tried to go over there, and my uncle was beating him up and told him, why did he ever lay a hand on his sister? And he said, if you ever do this again, I'll kill you. And so my uncle told my mom if she would leave him, that she would be able to, he would take care of her, she'll be fine. And so she kind of wanted to leave him, and then he would go over there and beg her back and say, I'll never do this again to you, just come home with me. So my mom would go back with him, and he would tell her he was sorry and he would never do it again. She told me a story that when she was pregnant with me, and he was drinking and stuff at the trailer, and one day he kicked her in the stomach while she was pregnant with me. So when she was giving birth to me, she said my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and they were scared that when she was pushing and stuff, that the umbilical cord wouldn't, kill me and choke me. So they were really careful with getting me out. And she said when I was born, I was kind of like purple and blue and I wasn't breathing. And then finally I was able to breathe again. And so she calls me her miracle baby. Well, my dad wasn't a really good dad. Like, he wasn't a dad material kind of guy either. Like, he was a dad to us, like, he wasn't a dad that would change our diapers. He wasn't a dad that was very loving and wanted to hold us all the time. He didn't like to do much with us, but he provided like a dad should. Like, he would buy us school clothes all the time. He would, my mom always had new furniture all the time. She always had a new car all the time as well. We always had clothes, like school clothes for Christmas and holidays and stuff. We would get what we wanted, what we'd ask for. We'd get school supplies, stuff like that. But as him to be like a loving father, no, not really. He became mentally and physically abusive towards me and my sister when we were young and growing up. My mom was very loving, very affectionate, very caring. She interacted with us. She played with us. She played basketball with us, football. She would take us to the waterfall swimming. She was always doing things with me and my sister. I was really close to my mom when I was growing up. I used to always be on her hip. She would always put me down, even when I was like 9 or 8, 10. I would always get on her hip, and then she would put me down, and then I would get right back on. She would let me. Friends from the church used to tell her, she's too big, you need to put her down. So she would put me down, but then as soon as she would turn around, I was right back on her hip. My mom used to hit us, and I used to think that it used to hurt really bad, so I would cry when she would hit me. My dad used to hit us, and it didn't faze me. I wouldn't really cry with him, and he used to hit us until we cried, and then he would stop hitting us. Well, I never really cried with him, so he would have to keep hitting me and hitting me, and my sister would always tell me, you need to cry, or he's going to keep hitting you, and I'm like, but I can't cry, so I'd have to make myself cry a lot. My mom would come in the room too and say, you need to cry or he's going to keep hitting you. And I'm like, but I can't. So she's like, well, you better make yourself cry or something. So then I would just, make myself cry or think about something, and I would start crying and he would stop hitting us. My dad stopped hitting my mom after the years that went by because they became Christians and they got baptized and they were saved and they started going to church. So my dad stopped hitting my mom.
My Mom by Eminem now playing.
Okay, that was freaky, you guys. I said my mom, and all of a sudden my phone started playing Eminem song by Mom. Or singing Mom song by Eminem. Crazy. So, as I was saying, he stopped hitting my mom. I never really seen my dad hit my mom or anything like that. One time, I heard my mom screaming one time when she was trying to go outside, and he was yanking her hair, and I heard her screaming, and my sister went to go see, and my sister said that he was pulling her by her hair because she was going to leave or something like that. My dad was physically abusive. He used to tell us that we were dumb, we were stupid, we would never amount to nothing, we were buras, and we would never amount to anything. That a little bit, when I got a little bit older, he would tell me that I was like a dog in heat, which I didn't understand what that meant. He used to always tell me that be careful with boys because they only want one thing. I didn't know what that meant either. He used to hit me a lot and hit my face, and I guess he would like punch me or like hit me like this, and I would always get a bloody nose. I would have to go to the restroom and stop the bleeding. He would take us, we would go camping a lot, we would go fishing, we would go to Red River with our family, and we'd do stuff like that with our dad and our mom. We would go ride the boats out in the lake. My mom was good and we were really close until they stopped going to church and they backslid. And we were pretty older then. And they were really strict with us. They didn't let us go play with our friends, really. Especially if we didn't go to school or we missed a day because we were sick, we couldn't go play outside with our friends or anything or go outside. They were really strict with us. They didn't let us spend the night at people's houses, like a friend's house or anything, because you don't know what the parents can do or the parents' dad can do to you because they don't know them. So they rarely let me spend the night at anybody's house because my mom had got into an incident when she was 15 years old, and she got the R word, the 4-letter R word, if anybody's familiar with that. So she was really cautious and really scared of us going anywhere or spending the night at anybody's houses, but they would let us spend the night with our family members. We weren't allowed to date, and what I wanted to do is I never wanted to have sex until I got married, because that's what God wanted us to do, right? So I went to church, my sister went to church, and I just remember them talking about the Bible and talking about God, and them saying that we shouldn't, lose our V card until we're married. So that was my plan since I was little. I just wanted to be married when I lost my V card. That didn't happen like that, but I wanted it to happen like that, but it didn't. So we weren't allowed to date or anything. A lot of people, when I started going to middle school, would always be talking about BJs and how they lost their V card and talking about sex and stuff. And I just thought that was just gross. Like, I didn't want to hear it because I knew that that's not what I wanted my life to be. So, there's these guys that would go to school and they would walk on the ditch and we would walk on the ditch, and this guy had wanted to, I guess, kiss me, and I was about 11 going to 6th grade, and he was like, if I was 11, he was like 14 and he was going to his freshman year. And he liked me, and my friend told me that he liked me and he wanted to kiss me. And I was like, well, I don't know nothing about kissing or anything like that. And so he's like, well, I'll tell you what to do. So he taught me how to French kiss, and he told me what to do when I got there with the guy that wanted to kiss me. So I had lived down a dead end, and he lived down the street and in a cul-de-sac. So there was a hill there in the street, and we were at the ditch, and he told me that he wanted to kiss me. So we walked over to the wall, and we ended up kissing each other. And this was the first guy I ever kissed. And so he told me to go to his parents' house because his parents weren't home. So I said, sure. So we walked down to his house, and we were in his house and stuff, and we were kissing, and he started kissing on my neck, and I told him not to give me a hickey, and whatever you do, don't give me a hickey. And he's like, I'm not, I'm just kissing you. And then I guess all of a sudden he ended up giving me a hickey, but I didn't know that I had one yet until I got up. So he was trying to get under my pants, and I kept telling him no. He tried to get under my pants again, and I told him no. And we're just kissing and stuff and making out, and he tried it one more time, and I told him no. And my mom drove down the street, and she was screaming my name outside, Janelle, Janelle, Janelle. And I was like, oh shit, my mom's outside. I'm like, what do I do? And so I went into the bathroom, his bathroom, and I seen that I had a hickey on my neck. And he was like, here, come to my mom's bathroom, put foundation on your neck, and hide your hickey. And I was like, my mom's gonna know. And sure enough, I hid my hickey and stuff, and I went outside. And as soon as I got on the car, I sat down all cool, like hiding my hickey, like she's not gonna see it. And so when I was sitting in the car, she's like, moves my hair out of the way, and she sees the hickey, and she starts hitting me, and she's like, what the heck are you doing? You're too young to be going out with anybody or getting hickeys on your neck. So we got home, and she hit me when we got home. And then when my dad got home, he hit me, and he was like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be dating anybody or anything. And I was like, I know, I just went to his house because he told me no one was there, and we were just making out, and he started kissing my neck, and it was there. And so I got beat up for that, and I got grounded. And then I hadn't seen him for a while, and then he came to my grandma's house. So my mom and dad they moved to Albuquerque, and my mom and dad lived in a house here, and then my grandparents lived right next door. So there's like a driveway where you could fit a vehicle in there, and then my grandparents' house. So we were really close to them, and we'd always go over there when we would get in trouble, or we were grounded, or we just wanted to go to our grandparents and hang out. So we'd just walk over there and hang out with our grandparents. So he went to my grandma's house, and he was knocking on the door, and I went over there, and he had one of those rings that you get from the little gumball machines. Well, there was the little container, a plastic container in those machines, and it had like little rings in there, like plastic rings. He had one there for me, and he was trying to give it to me, and my dad came outside and looked outside and seen him and his friend, and he started tying him off and told him never to come over there again, to leave his daughter alone. And he scared I'm married to him now, and he scared my husband away, and he told them not to come back again. And so my sister was tying him stuff too, so he got scared, and I never seen him after that. But I always remembered him, and I always remember the story that I got beat up because he gave me a hickey, and he was my first kiss. So my dad called me to the house, and when I went in there, he beat me up with the broom. He was so mad, and he's like, what the heck, I already told you, and all this stuff. So then I was grounded for a very long time. I think like a month or 2 months, I don't know, I don't remember. So that was that, and I really liked him. I thought he was really cute, and I used to always see him walking on the ditch when we would go to school. And then my mom always told me, if a guy really, really likes you, he'll make a point to come see you no matter what. Well, he didn't, so I thought maybe he didn't like me. And so I just used to walk down the ditch, and I used to see him with this other girl, and I used to give him dirty looks. And I was like so mad at him because I really liked him, and I wanted him to still see me, but he didn't, and he didn't make an effort. So I was just like really hurt with him. So I moved on, and I went to do my thing, and he did his thing, and I didn't really see him much, but sometimes I would see him down the ditch, and that was that. And I didn't like staying at my mom and dad's house, so I started staying with my uncle and aunt. A little story about them is that my aunt was married to this guy. She got married and pregnant at a very young age. I think she was 15. And she got married at a young age. she moved out with him from my Nana and Tata's house, and she started living with him. And my uncle killed someone, so he was in prison since my cousin was 2 years old. He's still in prison as we speak. We always used to, when we were little, we would sit on our dad's lap, our grandpa's lap, our uncle's lap. We'd hug them, they would kiss us. They would kiss us on the cheek. That was all normal stuff to us. Well, my aunt divorced my uncle after a while, and she married another man, and he was Mexican. He's from Juarez, and she married him. And I used to go with them, and I used to hang out with my cousin and my aunt and my uncle. He was like the same. I treated him like, we would treat anybody else of our uncles or our family members, sit on his lap, give him a hug, whatever, stuff like that. Well, he was really nice to me. He was kind of mean to my cousin. She would do stuff and he would hit her, and she would get really mad, and she's like, "Don't hit me, you're not my dad. I'm going to tell my dad on you." And sometimes I used to think like he would hit her for like no reason, or he shouldn't be hitting her, I used to think so, because I was, so young, and I just thought like her mom should be hitting her, not that guy. But he would hit her and stuff, and he was nice to her, but sometimes I would see like he wasn't so nice to her, but he was always really nice to me. We used to live out in apartments and stuff, so I used to always go over there on the weekends or whenever I had a chance and hang out with my cousin. We would always go out, play around and stuff. Sometimes they would take us to the park and stuff, my aunt and my uncle. Well, after that, I think they started living with one of his brothers, I think, after the apartment. And like I said, everything was fine with him. He never tried anything, never did anything. It was just like uncle, niece, whatever. I'd always go over, hang out with her stuff. And sometimes, we would fight or whatever. And he would just always say, grew up by herself, so she's really, spoiled little girl, so she doesn't know how to share and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I understand. So I always still liked hanging out with my cousins, so I'd always go over there. Sometimes we would go and visit my uncle in Los Lunas. His mom would take us, and then she would drop us off. So we always used to go and hang out with her, and then I would get to see her twin brothers and stuff. So we'd go over there, see my uncle, and then come back home. And then they finally moved to a trailer, and it was a single wide trailer. My aunt's room was in the back, and then there was a bathroom, a hallway, washer and dryer, and then my cousin's room, and then there was the kitchen, the living room, and then another room with the bathroom. And I started staying with them then, and I think it was summer vacation, I guess, or Christmas vacation, or Easter vacation, I don't know, but I was staying with them for a while. And this is where things start to go really weird, and I just couldn't believe that he would do this to a little girl. It was in 1991, 92, around there. I was about 11 or 12 years old. My aunt was pregnant with her second child. She had had like 4 or 5 miscarriages before she got pregnant. So I was staying there. I didn't really like staying at my parents' house, like I told you, they were always fighting a lot. It got kind of ugly there, so I hated it. I hated that my dad used to hit us and stuff and give me bloody noses all the time. So I liked to not be home sometimes, so I stood with them. My uncle started being a little bit weird with me. Like at first, everything was fine. It was just okay. He was just like a normal uncle, normal niece, thing. We got along fine. Well, he started doing things to me My aunt's pregnant at this time, and I don't know if she was bedridden at the time, because I know she was having complications with my carrying my cousin. So she used to sleep sometimes, I guess, and take naps sometimes because she was really tired and stuff. So one time my uncle and I was in the bathroom, and my uncle, no, I was in the room doing something, or I was in the bathroom, I don't remember. And all of a sudden, I'm in the room, he comes out of the room, or he comes into the room, or vice versa, and he just like gets me and kisses me, and I'm just like in shock, like, what the heck? And I'm just like, don't say anything. And we go outside and stuff, and things start changing really quick. We used to lay on his lap. He would be sitting down like this. Me and my cousin used to lay on his lap, and our head would be on his lap, and we would watch TV. Well, I don't know where my aunt was, and I don't know if my cousin was there, because sometimes she would leave while I was there, and she would go see her dad and stuff, and then they would bring her back. I wouldn't always go with them because they didn't have room or whatever in the vehicle. So I stood there, and we would be watching TV, and I would be laying on his lap. And I remember that he would grab my hand and he put it on his penis, and he would make me rub it up and down. And I took it off, and I was like freaking out. And he was Mexican, so I grew up in a Spanish family, so I understood some Spanish, but not really, especially not at 11 or 12. And he was Mexican, so he talked differently than we talk. So there was a lot of words that he would say that I didn't understand. So my aunt didn't either, until she finally learned and understood his language after being with him for a while. So he said something. He grabbed my arm again. Grabbed my hand again, and he put it back on his penis. And he said something like "asina" or something like that, or I don't even remember. It was a long time ago. And he made me rub it back up and down again. And I remember that we would go in the Jeep sometimes, and I remember he would sit in the driver's side, my aunt in the passenger, and my cousin in the back of my aunt, I think, and I would sit behind him. And he would always be staring at me in the mirror, and I would look up and I would see him, and so I would like look away and look down or try to avoid him. And my aunt would get off real fast, and my cousin would go with her, and he would grab my hand and like hold it, and then he would put it on his private area again.